Hello, this is Sonica. Um, okay, two major themes: balance, alignment, and also the assemblage point. The assemblage point is that little thing in shamanic terms. It's like an assemblage of energy filaments or something like that, and it's basically the locus of your consciousness, or I want to say the locus of your field of perception, because my personal experience with it, after working with the Akadewa for a very long time, you get to intend to move it, the assemblage point, and it'll move wherever you want to. So I can move it up to my third eye chakra and experience that, and it's really weird. I can put it in any other chakra, as a chakra is a lens, and it sort of just gives you the field. It tunes your field of perception to that particular chakra's frequencies. So if you want to, yeah, you get it. That happens after a while. Balance and alignment in regards to this, if it's off this way, then you can have certain personality disorders. If it's off down this way, then you can have other problems. If it's way over here, then you can have psychoses, and let's also understand that it's not just there and you start to have this problem. The problem can start to manifest in other ways, and they reinforce each other. So a certain attitude toward life can push an adopted attitude toward life. I choose to have this attitude, can push your assemblage point off a little way over here or wherever, and cause you to start being more in that mode constantly, and then it gets stuck, and so people get problems with that. Anyway, I just thought I had the idea I should do a language of light activation, and there's a lot of resistance to this for some reason, and I'll tell you more about it. I decided I should do a language of light activation for 3 things specifically to do with the assemblage point, and it should be, I thought, just had the idea, intuition, whatever, that it should be some type of angelic being that should do this. And one, it would reposition the assemblage point for people where it should be, a little bit tuned to a little bit of a higher frequency and perfectly balanced. 2, it should clear it out so that it's able to shine very brightly, that consciousness and that perception. And 3, that it puts a sort of shield of glue so that it locks it in place. It's your typical New Age kind of stuff, And so I asked which being was going to do this, and first I thought, oh, maybe it would be Metatron, and it was no. And then I thought maybe Ezekiel, and he was like, no, I'm not the best person for this, dude, try somebody else. And then I thought I would, look under different angels, and that didn't work. And then I just decided, okay, I have this ability, why don't I just tune in and see who wants to do it? And it was this new being that popped up during my interview that I had, this language of light activation. The end of this interview, and it was this strange, what I perceived to be a being from Sirius. And it's interesting, I've noticed that you choose to channel an angel consciousness, angelic consciousness, or you choose to channel a Syrian consciousness, they're very similar. And I may have read somewhere out there that, what we used to know as angels are actually ETs, and specifically Syrians in general. I don't know, but that's just been my experience. Very similar forms of consciousness. Okay, and so the being that wanted to do this was oh God. Ninseya. That's what it's saying. Ninseya. There's like a schwa in the middle. Ninseya. Anyway. I don't know. These things are very strange, and I don't like putting names or whatever, but it's a very interesting being, okay? And you'll get to hear a language of light activation from it in this video. Sorry, this is so rambly. Not focused at all. But then I was practicing today, and to prepare myself for this language of light activation, I was calling upon this being, just like letting its field come over me, come over me, come over me. I'm going to do a language of light. I'm asking it, do a language of light activation to my field first so that this work can begin within me. And it was just sitting there. I'm just sitting there absorbing this energy, absorbing this energy, and it wouldn't start. And I'm like asking this being, you know, like, well, is this meant to be? You know, like, what's going on? And it just seemed to indicate that it's going to be harder than I realize, and it's also going to be more drastically effective than I realize. So I think I'm going to do a completely separate video for the activation. I just wanted to tell you guys this. And then eventually it started to come through, and it was like, you know, 5, maybe 10 minutes of just language of light, just that, and it was rapid fire, and it was really, really, I don't want to say intense, it was just long and drawn out, and yeah, I guess it was intense in its own way, but I wasn't left with this like, you know, feeling of this, all this energy, which is, you know, pretty easy for me to get to. So I think that when I do this next video, it's going to be maybe in chunks. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to have to ask this being. And I think the hesitation is coming from the fact that the assemblage point is a very powerful thing to mess with. Like I said, I don't know if I said it in this video, I can take my assemblage point and move it to any position in my body. And it's like a locus of perception, and you put it there and you start to experience perception from that locus. So it can move it to the center of the heart chakra, and it's just this kind of like warm connectivity. I can move it all the way down. Let me actually do it. I can move it down to, like, say I moved it down to my second chakra, and it's like, it's even it's difficult to describe, really. It's a different in perception, and like the heart chakra is attached to communication and connectivity, and the second chakra is attached to movement and touch. You know, it's just like slow, just kind of like existing inside reality, just this 3D construct. You know, it's really sensual, and it's really intense when you move your assemblage point, and then when I choose to not do that, it just kind of like goes back up to its normal position. And that's because of all the energy work that I've done. I've made everything else around me very pliable, and I can move it. I don't know much about that phenomenon, so if you do, let me know. I don't know if other people can just move it whenever they want to, because I can move it at will. It's interesting. But it's so important and so intense, and so, yeah, that's it. So important and so intense that messing with it could really throw people out of whack. So that's why I'm doing this in chunks, I think now, I've decided. Because if you're not ready for this type of work, don't do it. Because it might make you sleepy for the next several days. It might give you perceptions that you're not comfortable with. It might freak you out, because it's going to be pretty intense, and not just like usually, like, you know, people watch these and will say, oh, this was an intense one. It's like, wow, that was intense. Okay, what's for dinner? I mean, like, this is going to be lasting. Okay, this is serious stuff. I know I come across so casual sometimes. I forget that this is serious stuff to me, you know, and serious stuff to you. Only a few of you I know several of you, so many times, have told me that they appreciate the language of light activations, but at the same time, I think I probably don't take it seriously enough myself, and so I don't get other people to take it seriously enough. It's not just a video that you watch and you kind of soak up some good energy that's coming through, these vibes that I'm feeling, and then go about the rest of your day. It's really meant to change something within you. It's really meant to reprogram you in a good way. It's really meant to bring through permanently higher, more, better, greater light, you know? It's supposed to do something. Okay, so that being said, I'm just going to start the next one and we'll see what happens.